Hello and welcome back to the Geordie Pig Investor channel, and today I'm going to be going through the new British ISA rules that was announced at the autumn 2024 statement. So there's been a new British ISA allowance of £5,000 has been added to the additional £20,000 that we are currently able to invest per year. And this has been included in the recent statement. So I'm going to go through that with you today, go through a few points on it, just go into them in as much detail as I feel is necessary. I've read up on it quite a lot, so if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments down below. So start off by saying, if you don't know what an ISA is an individual saving account that is a tax advantaged savings account where income and gains arising from within the account are not subject to UK income tax or capital gains tax. There are four types of ISAs. You have a cash ISA, a stocks and shares ISA, innovative finance ISA, and a lifetime ISA. And individuals can subscribe up to £20,000 across all ISAs for the year. On top of this, you can actually subscribe to an extra £5,000 now on a British ISA allowance. Yeah, like I was saying there, it's an extra £5,000 of additional income per year, and this is going to be introduced from next year. It basically means you're able to invest £5,000 tax-free into UK assets on top of the existing £20,000 limit. If you're wondering where the £5,000 can be invested, it's not only just on the stocks and shares, so you can actually invest into corporate bonds and gilts as well. So corporate bonds are issued by some companies as a way of raising finances in addition to issuing shares. As corporate bonds can help the UK companies increase the financing availability to them and can qualify for stocks and shares ISAs, the government proposes that corporate bonds issued by the ISA eligible companies should also be included in the ISA. So it just basically means you can invest in the ISA account into corporate bonds, and the same goes for gilts as well, because it is a benefit to the UK economy. Cash, on the other hand, you're not able to invest cash into it and let it sit and build up interest. So it says here in the statement that although cash will be required to purchase eligible investments for the UK ISA, the government proposes that there should be restrictions to prevent the use of additional allowance for investments in cash or cash-like products. I think it'll probably be no interest at all because it's obviously a tax-free account. If you're wondering how many UK ISAs you're actually allowed to open, you can have as many as you like. So it says here the UK ISA could allow subscriptions to a number of different UK ISAs in the same tax year. That will keep in line with the other ISAs and can provide investors with more choice. So what they're basically trying to say here is that they would recommend that you only subscribe to one to keep your money in one place so that you don't risk using over your limit, but you can actually open multiple accounts due to the fact that from April, your regular ISA savings account, you can have as many as you like. So that's a new rule that's come into play from April. In previous years, you've only ever been able to have one stocks and shares ISA account, but now you're actually able to have multiple from April onwards, and they're going to continue the trend with the UK ISA accounts as well. Personally, if I was ever to max out the 20,000, I would look to just have one account and put the £5,000 in one account, so it keeps it nice and simple, and hopefully the apps that I currently use like Trading 212 will have access to the UK ISA allowance, so it'll make it very easy to just put it within my own account in there, and it'll be easy to track and follow, and can follow both my ISAs closely then. But to have 20,000 invested is another question, so we'll get onto that in a bit. Transfers into the UK ISA, there are a number of options that could be considered for transfers into the UK ISA. They're saying that, there could be no transfers allowed from general ISAs into the UK ISA because it's going to make it a lot easier due to the fact that you could end up putting too much money in or taking money out. But another option is just going to be that you can basically put the money in from any ISA account through into the UK ISA, but again, it's going to make it a lot harder for you to track where your money's going, so just bear that in mind. I think personally I would try and keep the two separate so you're not crossing them over and you're not missing out on anything. So kind of briefly touched on it there. I said about how the UK ISA is going to have similar rules, if not the same rules as the regular ISA, because of the fact that you can open multiple, and they're kind of trying to keep that trend across the board. So it's basically saying here that they're kind of confirming that the UK ISA is going to have the exact same tax benefits as a regular ISA. You can have access to your funds within 30 days, the same as a regular ISA, and obviously it will include UK focused investments that would already have been qualified into a regular ISA account. So it's going to have pretty much identical rules to the regular ISA, which I think's going to make it a lot easier for you to follow, so that's always good, and it's something that you can consider. When's it actually going to become active? So it looks like from what it says here, obviously it's just come out in the autumn statement, And I think personally it's not going to come out in April because they haven't got enough time to inform the providers about this and actually have this new ISA available and created. So the likelihood is it's going to be enrolled later this year. I'd like to hope it was enrolled by sort of August, September time, towards the back end of the year, so it's not too long till it is actually enrolled. And that I think the government will be able to work with these different companies and get something put in place, and hopefully that won't take too long, but you never know how long it could be. As it does say here, obviously it's going to definitely take they're going to have to plan some sort of timelines out with them so they can actually make sure that they align together. So again, it's sort of like how long is a piece of string at the minute, but I'm sure there'll be more information released in the near future. Finally, just my final thoughts on it. How beneficial is it really going to be? Well, Michael Somerville, the chief executive, AJ Bell, agreed that a tiny minority of people already max out the tax-free limit each year. So giving us an additional investment of £5,000, it's not really going to have a massive impact on a lot of people. He also said about how the plans are sort of going to make the investing seem a little bit more complicated and scary potentially to some people. So if you were new to investing and now you see there's two types of ISAs, and you're not too sure how the allowances work on both, and it could make it a bit confusing. It could also put some people off actually getting into investing, which is not what we want to be doing. Ideally, we want to get as many people investing as possible, because it's good in the long term for yourself. So, I don't think they'll have too much problems with it because it isn't really that hard to understand. So I don't think it'll have too many problems. But I do massively agree that, giving us an extra £5,000 tax-free allowance per year is really only going to hit the top small percentage who are already getting that £20,000 tax-free money invested every year. Personally, I know that I'm nowhere near that 20,000 amount. I'm trying to invest really heavily every month, and I get around about £1,000 in a month, so that would only come to 12,000 a year, which is now only going to be under half the amount that you're actually allowed. So I do believe that it's not that beneficial long term for many people, but I'd rather see positive news than negative news. At least it isn't us going backwards from 20,000, say, down to £15,000 tax free, because we've got to remember in the UK we are quite lucky to have an account which we can put £20,000 in a year and not pay any tax. In a lot of other countries, it's nowhere near this amount. Even somewhere like America, I think it's £7,000 in their equivalent Roth IRAs. So, we are quite lucky to have that £20,000 tax-free limit every year. But yeah, it's one of those, like you say, it isn't really going to benefit too many people. But if it does benefit yourself, fantastic. So yeah, that's my sort of final thoughts on it. It would have been better, I think, if they took away the stamp duty that we have to currently pay. We pay 0.5% on any British company when purchasing their company. We pay 0.5% on any British stocks and shares which we purchase. I think taking that away would have been massive, because that would have really drove people to invest more in the UK side of things, getting that massive benefit to not having to pay that. So that would have probably been better for a lot more people and more beneficial and help the economy out more. I don't think this is going to have a massive impact on the economy. I don't think it's going to really have much difference at all, to be honest. But like I say, it's better to have positive than negative news. So that's sort of my rundown on this new report. There was also a few other things in the report, such as national insurance coming down by 2%, which is another positive. There was a few other positive things in there, but this is obviously a financial channel, so I'll only go through anything financial about it to do with stocks and shares. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have any further questions, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll try my best to answer them. But this is the Geordie Pig Investor, over and out.